Have you ever said, "God told me," and then everything went wrong? What if it wasn't God at all, but your desire, your fear, or a momentary emotion? We live surrounded by noise, social media, opinions, stress, constant urgency. Yet we claim to hear God. The real question isn't whether God speaks, but whether we know how to recognize His voice. How do we distinguish between God's voice, our own thoughts, and our emotions when everything sounds the same? In this video, I won't give you pretty phrases, but biblical keys that can spare you years of spiritual confusion. Today we'll expose common mistakes, learn how to filter out the world's noise, and discover how God still speaks today. But beware, if you don't learn this, you may end up obeying a voice that never came from heaven. And what we're about to cover could forever change the way you make spiritual decisions. God's voice does not shout like our emotions or nag like our thoughts. Our thoughts reason, our emotions react, but God's voice affirms, aligns, and brings peace, even when it confronts. The problem is that many people confuse emotional intensity with divine direction. If something feels strong, they assume it's God. But God does not compete with inner chaos. His voice is clear, consistent, and never contradicts His character. When God speaks, He doesn't rush you through fear. He leads you through truth. This is where many fail. They make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. And then they say, "God told me." But what if that voice was only feeding your pride or your fear? In the next point, we'll see why this confusion is so dangerous and how the Bible has warned about it for centuries. Saying "God told me" is one of the most dangerous phrases when it isn't filtered through the Word. Because when God truly speaks, He takes responsibility for fulfilling what He says. But when we use His name to justify personal decisions, we shut the door to correction. The Bible never taught us to use God as emotional backup. It taught us discernment. Many spiritual mistakes are born right here. Wrong relationships, forced callings, impulsive decisions. Not every spiritual-sounding thought comes from God. Even in the Bible, men of God had to learn how to distinguish His voice. And here is a key principle. God never speaks apart from His Word. If what you hear contradicts Scripture, it's not revelation, it's confusion. And this brings us to the heart of the message. How do we train our spiritual hearing? The answer lies in 3 forgotten practices. God is still speaking, but the world has never been louder. Social media, constant stress, normalized sin, endless hurry. Noise doesn't just distract, it spiritually destabilizes. Elijah did not hear God in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. The problem isn't that God doesn't speak, it's that we no longer know how to be silent. Prayer without silence becomes a monologue. The Bible without pause becomes information, not transformation. Noise steals spiritual sensitivity. That's why Jesus withdrew. That's why Samuel had to learn how to listen. If we don't shut down the external noise, we will never recognize the internal voice. But here is the hope. When the noise fades, God's voice does not delay in revealing itself. And in the final point, we will reveal how to hear Him clearly today. The solution is not to look for new voices, but to sharpen your spiritual hearing. God speaks through His Word, confirms through prayer, and reveals Himself in silence. Samuel learned to say, "Speak, for your servant is listening." Jesus lived in perfect communion with the Father. Don't improvise spiritual direction. Return to the Bible. Pray without hurry. Embrace silence without fear. When God speaks, His voice brings conviction, peace, and alignment, not confusion or pressure. If you want to hear God in the middle of the noise, you will have to turn off things that entertain you today. But the reward is eternal. Clarity, direction, and a real relationship with Him. And here is the promise. God does not hide from those who seek Him with a sincere heart. The final question is not whether God speaks, but whether you are willing to listen.